we?
Yeah.
So I'll stop.
And I promise not to keep you here any longer than 2 hours. If we can't get everything done today, we'll set up a future time.
Well, you just let me know, when your time is, and when you're done with today, we'll be done whenever you're ready to be done. I'm good to go.
Okay, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I have a couple of questions, and this is one we've worked on before, and I've made a good bit of progress on it already.
Yeah, it looks nice.
But I've got to get a vicinity map, and I've got to find a good way that I can do a vicinity map. I've talked to the county mapper about it, and I asked her how everybody else does it, and she said it's simple. You find whatever drawing you want, you save it as a JPEG, and you import it to your drawing as a JPEG. And I looked on my import opportunities on Carlson, and I don't see any way to import a JPEG.
Oh yeah. We can do that.
I don't know how to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to draw a site on a JPEG to make it usable. I spent a good bit of time yesterday looking at maps, and I didn't really find one I basically focused. I came down to USGS, and I found a USGS map that looks pretty good, but I don't know how to save it in the format that I want, and I don't know how to make drawings on it. Now, do you remember Stephanie Reel?
Oh, gosh, that sounds so familiar, but I can't place
Stephanie
it.
used to be the CAD manager when we were Dewberry, and part
Oh.
of the training that you did involved Stephanie.
Okay.
Well, when Dewberry closed its office, Stephanie, I was able to get, by my recommendation, Stephanie got a job working for my good friend Lee Snyder at Jefferson Utilities, and she's risen to be the general manager of Jefferson Utilities. And,
wow.
Lee also owns LK Land Holdings, which is, so I'm sure Stephanie's going to see this plat, and I don't want to embarrass myself. It won't be Stephanie worthy, I'm sure, but I don't want her to say, God, that's a piece of crap.
Right. No problem.
And I have some other issues here. Are you looking at the screen now?
I am, yes.
I have one of the things I've been trying to do is to rotate this description.
Okay.
So that it's legible, but every time I try to do it, I end up moving the point.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
All right.
One of the other issues that I want to address is this is a power line, and I know that one time we found a line type for a power line, but I cannot for the life of me find it.
Okay.
And then I've got some things like some things are different sizes here. But I was able to import the all of these tables. I was able to create my own joiner table based on our template that we used.
Right.
And I just put all of those tables in every job. So every job now in my job template has that Excel file.
Good.
I've got to go fix this one. I've got to shorten it up and take the area tabulation. We actually only had one. We probably should have had two. The one we have is for mergers, and even if you're doing just a minor subdivision, you have to have a area template. So
yeah, I see your owner's certificate, for instance. We're going to need to reposition the signature and date line. Look like
yes, right. That and on the Jefferson County Office of Planning and Zoning. I tried to do that yesterday, and I for the life of me could not do it.
Yeah, there's a number of things we can look at that probably need to be cleaned up. So
but I'm getting there. I'm encouraged.
Yeah, it's looking good. So let's see where to start.
Oh, and the other thing is, I'm sure there's got to be a symbol for a fire hydrant, and that's
yes.
a fire hydrant.
Yep. Yep. And what's that over on the?
Oh, and I've got to label that this is a water line proposed water line easement here, and I've got to label that.
Okay,
What's what?
your FL looks like something online on the left property line.
Fence line.
Oh, fence line, okay.
I've got these, and that's actually a point. So what I'd like to do is overlay a fence line,
Sure,
line type along
Yep.
this.
okay.
I've
Alrighty,
got to put these setback limits on, and it's odd because the setback limit's going to have to go around this easement sticking out here. And on this one, and this setback limit actually isn't correct. I don't think I've got to redo it because I changed the boundaries.
okay. Yep, we can fix all that. And let's see. Everything else looks pretty good. Let me,
Numbers here just to remind me of what they're supposed to be, but it'll obviously have to be changed.
yeah, so we'll do all that now. Let's see, let's do this. I will request remote control and we'll take a peek at what we got. Okay, now we got a couple of things I'm looking at here. We've got,
That's a 6-foot inspection pit
okay,
that I need to show for the health department. Well, and the planning commission too. They're both going to want to see where that is.
and those are done with points on the end that look like little X's. Is that the way they need to look? That's fine.
No, they can look however I want to do them. I actually went out and shot the ends of the pit so that I knew where they were, and I
Okay.
just brought them in like that. They don't have to be like that.
Well, is it just a line or is it is there a
It's
width
pit.
to it?
It's 6 feet deep by about the width of the backhoe bucket.
Yeah, no, I mean, what you show, like there's no horizontal width that we need to show.
No.
It's just the line of, it's just a backhoe, like a test pit.
Yeah.
Okay, and do you have that in a legend, or do you want to, or you're just gonna label?
I don't have it in a legend.
All right, so we'll you either need to call it out, at least one of them, and call it typical.
Yeah.
Or,
and that's probably the way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that there's a whole lot of need for a legend on this sheet. Now we've got this, which is,
well, that's actually an adjoiner property line.
Right. And it is sitting over top of that, which is fine. And you've got like a real heavy.
Yeah, and that doesn't need to be that. I don't. This is
and then
earlier efforts, and I don't know how some of this stuff got that way.
Okay, that's fine. It could be that something has changed on a layer, or it could be that West Virginia Route 1/9.
Yeah.
Make sure that's correct, and it's not Route 19 or something.
No, it's 1/9.
Okay, good. Now, and I also see you've got this north arrow here.
Yeah, I need to label that maybe
versus this up here.
Oh, I can get rid of that. I can get rid of the lower one.
Of this line.
Yeah.
And is this one oriented the correct way? That's the next thing.
Good question.
All right, so here's a real quick way of telling that. You just, if we double click inside so that we are in the model, all right? And you see
like
where, no, I mean, It's not, but I mean, we are, now that we've double clicked in here. Here's how you can check your north rotation.
Okay.
Is you get inside of here, and if things are okay in here, now I see when I'm in there, you see that that symbol does not have the little square in it. So that tells me, first of all, I'm not in my world coordinate system space. So I need to type UCS and then hit world, which is the default. So I'll hit world. And okay, so it is, I guess it's not, it doesn't show the little square like it does over here. See that square?
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Oh, here's a general question I have for you that I get confused about. When should I be working in model space as opposed to in the red line here?
Right. Well, inside the red lines, that puts you in the model. And it is absolutely the same thing to do this and work in here as it is to do this and work out here. Okay. It's just whichever one happens to be more convenient for you. Okay. Now I've got something down here. I see a little.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever that is. I'm not seeing that anything gets selected, so I'm not sure what that might be, if anything. Might just be some kind of trace of something left over from. Well, I don't see it.
By the way, the county mapper told me that I'm doing the best PDFs that she's ever seen. I said, well,
Good.
I really can't take credit for that. I'll give my friend Ken Crawford. She said those are the only ones that she plots that are actually to scale.
Wow.
So whatever I'm doing, keep doing it.
Well, good for you. Good for you. All right. No. This is you. All right. So, let's see. I've got like a dashed outline here. What do we got? I've got, that's, you see that looks like a dashed line. I think that's basically just the edges of that. It's just showing us where it is, because I just selected. See, I do a crossing selection.
Yeah.
And it shows me over here, I've only selected one item, so that's okay. So that won't, it shouldn't show up in a plot. All right. Now, I also see something right up here. Okay, that's the insertion, or that's the reference point of that dimension. Okay. And all right, so now back on the north arrow bit. So to check the rotation of the north arrow, what we're going to do is, once we are in the model itself, and just as long as we stay inside of it, we're going to just draw a line. We're going to erase, or draw a polyline that we'll erase again in a little bit. We'll say okay, and I'm just going to click on the spot. Now notice I can move it around anywhere, but what I want to do is I want to take it, if I know a distance, I can type a distance, or I'm going to, wherever I click, there's a special way of typing in a coordinates that are called relative coordinates. And that is if you use the @ symbol. So if I say @ if I use that up front, I've typed that down at the command line. Now I want to go 0 distance in the X And how big is that? How big are those lots there? I don't see any dimensions.
The ones at the bottom, I don't know. I just eyeballed them.
Let's just say 100 feet. It might be too big. That's fine. But all right. So what that means is I'm going to a coordinate of X is 0 and 1 and Y is 100, but it's relative. That's what the at means. Relative to the previous point, which is where I started. So go 0 feet X and 100 feet Y. Okay. So that is when I hit that, there's that line. Now that line has 0 rotation. Okay, let's see. Let me see if there's another one. I can't see it. If I also do this, if I just draw a line, I'm just going to draw one just sort of arbitrary. And if I take that, can I find, yeah, see this angle? Nope, it's not going to let me change it. It's just going to tell me what it is. And that's another thing I just noticed. Your angles are set for radians. So let's do some settings here. Right here, units control. Decimal. Let's set it to 2 decimal places. Linear. I'm good at surveyor's units, and that's good there. Okay. Yeah, that's better. All right. All right, so now we're checking this north arrow rotation. So if I take this and I can move this around, I can bring it up here and line it up. So it looks like that is the right way that north is supposed to be. Okay. Yeah. Let's also set that. Title block.
There's a north arrow.
All right. All right. So I'm just going to use it for alignment right now. Now, okay. I've drawn that and it's in model space. Notice if I try to slide it out into there, you see how it disappears?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to make sure I leave it inside the paper, inside the model. And then I'm going to double click outside it again. And at this point now I can draw. I'm in paper space, so I can draw right over top of it, but still snap to that geometry. Okay. So now I can even I think I'm in. I can't seem to get that extension showing. Let's see here. Yep, extensions is on. Well, I can't seem to make it work. But so if you need to, you can draw yourself a little reference, a little construction line, and you can extend. So what I was getting at was that this is now, even though I drew over top of the one that was inside the frame and couldn't go anywhere, I can now move it all around. Okay, so it's there. So I'm good to go with that being lined up correctly, but excuse me.
Oh, there you
And
go,
I'll net,
stretch command.
yeah, I just erased that one. So now, so now I need to make sure this gets lined up with this.
Right.
If that's the one I want to use, I mean, I can use that symbol, it doesn't matter. But if we do that, so I've got a couple of things going on here. I've got this one. Looks like it's been exploded and stretched. So let's see what we've got. Let's see, that is still called North Arrow. Let's double click that for a minute so I can edit the North Arrow. Now, I'm in the block editor and I've got this and this. Those are all individual blocks. I don't understand what's, there's a lot of stuff involved here. There we go. Now, what I want to do though is to color this in. So it's layer 0. That's fine. I'll make sure I'm sitting on that same layer. And I'm going to do a hatch and do a shading behind this.
Okay.
And make that part of the symbol, and then we'll be able to resize it as we need. So to draw a hatch is right over here, or draw hatch. And I'm going to use this pattern called solid. Color will set back to by layer. And that's all well and good. To pick the boundaries, I'm going to just click inside these points, assuming they're closed. That one is. That one is. That's good. I'll hit enter. Say okay. Boy, there's a lot of lag. A lot of lag going on today. Now that, oops, I need to put that on. I don't know how I got on layer asphalt drive. All right, we'll put that on layer 0. All right, so now there's my North Arrow. I can pretty much guarantee that this whole thing needs to be rotated 90 degrees. So let's first of all move from the midpoint of this line right here to coordinate 0, 0. So that's now the insertion point. And I'm going to rotate this, and I'll explain this in just a minute on this rotation. So let's come over here to our rotate command, and we're going to rotate around 0, 0. And we're going to say B for a base angle. And the base angle is from 0, 0 up to this end point. And the new angle is going to be pointing to the east, okay, because that needs to be the 0 line. And that's because of the way angles are measured in AutoCAD. So when you want to put this in to the drawing, when it gets inserted, it will go straight up when it comes in as north. For what, I'm not real clear on that myself as to why that is, but it happens to be. Now, here I am inside my block editor. So I'm going to now save this north arrow by closing the block editor, and I'll answer the questions to yes, save the changes to north 18. And now there it is, it's rotated 90 degrees, but if I select it, and if I come over here and find its rotation, should be north. So that's straight up on the page, right?
Yeah.
So that's how that part works. Now what we'll do is instead of that, say that north is 0. So we could come here, insert that block north, and it would go straight up on the page. Or since we're doing this out here in space, I'm just going to take that and line it up with this line that we drew.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just grab the grip, and then I'm going to select, that's fine. Right there, I just moved it there and it snapped to that endpoint. I'll now rotate this from that endpoint, and I'm going to type B for base angle, meaning from this endpoint to here should be from that same endpoint to here. Okay, that is now at the right rotation. So I'm going to get rid of this and this. I will think that scale looks probably fine as it is. Put that up here, and then I need to line this up with it. So I'm going to move this down here. And let's set the same angle. And here's how we're going to match that. I'm going to select this. I look at its rotation and its properties. I'm going to select that, right click and choose copy. Then I'm going to select this and look at its rotation. Right click that and choose paste and hit enter. And as the English would say, and Bob's your uncle. So now this is perfectly lined up. And let's see, what size is this text?
I'm going to change that text. So you do that now?
Yeah, no, it's at 0.1 text height. That's fine. Yep. So we can change that. Okay.
I'm just going to say NAD 83 West Virginia North. I'm going to delete the based on GNSS observation.
Okay, so just double click it. I'll let you do it. And there you go, and just paint it to the right with the mouse. There you go, and hit delete or backspace, either one. Now hit the OK button. There you go. Now you can reposition it. Okay.
Okay.
All right, now that one's done. Let's take a look here. I'm going to do a regen just for yucks. And there's a couple of things I've got. Are either of these? Okay, one of them is in paper space, that one. And that's on a joiner. And this one is on the ground. So we don't need them both. And, or if we did, we certainly would want them to be coincident. So I'm going to.
That's the one.
Say, look. Well, actually, we might want that as far as the direction goes, but we'll fix that. Here's what I want to do. And this is going to answer that question you had earlier about, when do you work in the various spaces?
Yeah.
And so what I did there is you had that in paper space. Now, what would happen if something's in paper space and then you go out here, and if you had to move this, let's say if I selected that and just move this, now watch, I'm gonna put it back. But if I move that, you see how all of this other stuff stayed where it was?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's your basic rule of thumb, is that anything you want, that you need to stay relative to other things that are on the ground, that are in the model, should be drawn in the model. The stuff that gets drawn on the paper is just exactly like that. It's as if you said, okay, here's my piece of paper. I'm going to hand it to, I'm going to now be the drafter, and I'm going to start putting notes and tables and stuff like that on it. Okay. So now let's find out to match this line. And I think that is a polyline. All right, and it has a not sure. So what we'll do is we'll take this, and to match that rotation as that other one, I'm going to move from this endpoint to point right here, somewhere nearby like that. So right in there. Okay. Now I've got that point is anchored to that line. This one's not. I'm just going to now grab that grip and I'll stretch it till I get it where I want it, like that. So they now line up. I'm going to now move. That same thing is selected. So I'll go from that endpoint up to that endpoint. And now that is essentially the extension of this line.
Right.
Okay, it's on the same bearing. All right.
Now the power pole, this down there at the let's look at the other end first. That second power pole, I don't really need to show it. I need to show the direction, but that's really not on the property that I'm surveying. So
right. So, but it is a point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's again some things about doing points. Now I see there's several points in here. I've got that looks like
a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what that point is for. Is it for the end of that line maybe, or
I'm gonna click on it and see what it
is
is.
it that one? Or, you know, so if you double click it, and I see that in general, it's point number 1. It's a
Rebar found.
rebar found. Is that
I
the one
really
that
don't
you,
need it for anything. I mean, I
okay,
needed it to draw the lines,
right.
but I don't need it for anything now.
Okay, so you used it for this alignment this way.
That's right.
Okay, so now there's several things you can do. You can delete the point because you still have it in your coordinate file.
Right.
Or if you want to keep these on here, here's what I like to do is if I'm going to use the points, potentially use them later, I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to freeze that layer inside this viewport.
Okay.
And then I'm going to put all the points I don't want to see on that layer.
Okay.
That way, instead of, if I say freeze the point symbols, then they all freeze if my points are done just the default way. There's other ways around that, but we'll do that. So let's go to your layer manager, and I'm going to let you do the driving. And
New one.
I would scroll down first. Let's look under the F's. Okay, and I don't see a freeze points or okay, and I don't see P and TS. Let's make, since we know that our points are typically P and T starting names.
Yeah.
Let's make a new layer and call it P and TS dash freeze. And it doesn't matter what color or line type or anything, but while you're here, go over to the freeze thaw column and click no, not that one. That would work, but we want to do this globally in all cases. So we're going to do that one here too. So go ahead right there. And now, even if it says it's thawed in the current viewport to the right over there, it still won't show up because globally it's frozen. Okay. All right, so we'll close that now. And now let's select any of those points that we don't want to see. There's that one, there's that one. And then over into properties where it says layer, just pull that down and change it to that layer. Okay. Now press escape to clear that. And go do that for any other.
So delete that. Oh, that's the whole line.
Yeah. Do you need to show that where it's going off in that direction?
Well, it wouldn't hurt to show it.
Yeah, I would just leave that on there. So, but now anything else that you, again, if you want to freeze those, if any points that you've got showing there that you want to use to freeze, same thing happens like on those septic reserves. If you don't want to see those X's, just put them on that frozen points layer. But you might want to, I mean, there's nothing wrong with those X's. I think that looks fine to indicate, hey, this is a feature. It's not an accidental straight line on my mapping. Or, you know, it's entirely up to whether on how you want to show that.
Okay. Well, let's leave it like that for the time being.
Okay. So then I'll let you decide on any of the others, like those other found rebars and that sort of stuff. Now, you had a question earlier, you said about you kept trying to move something, but you kept moving the point. So let's go to that point. And by the way, when you do a particular point, it's not just that when you freeze those, when you put that point on the frozen layer, it's going to freeze everything about it, the description, the symbol, the point number, anything you might have out there. Yeah. Okay, but if you freeze just a particular, like if you were to freeze the description layers, then it's going to freeze those, but leave the symbols showing.
Right.
All right.
Okay, this is
So-
the one I was trying to rotate.
Okay, so go ahead and select that. And I see, it looks like it's back to where it's supposed to be on the right place. If you double click it, well, escape a minute. Now just double click the word somewhere, not on the grip, just anywhere else, right there. Yeah, now move that out of the way a bit here. I just want to make sure. Yeah, see, it's pointing to the point, so it's back where it's supposed to be. All right. Now, here is the secret to to doing this kind of stuff is, now I would probably simply do it by selecting it and then grabbing that grip.
Okay, I've done that, and it seems to move the whole point.
Well, when that,
rotate it, actually.
yeah. So now if you want to rotate it, you could, then I would, you know, come over here and then if you're going to rotate, you can do this rotation, but you need to rotate it around the point, not around that grip.
Okay.
So if I rotate it from here,
Okay.
see, I can do it like that to sort of, well, that didn't work very well, did it? Let's try that again. Oh, I see what I did. I was snapping back. So that would be sort of like that to sort of match the orientation of the line. And then I could take this and, you know, reposition it. All right, so there's one way. Now,
Okay, that's a good way.
the other way though is to instead, and that's just a CAD thing, but you have to know when you're doing this, that when you select this, you're not just selecting this piece of text, you're selecting the block, which is a point, an AutoCAD point. It is a point symbol and it is an attribute. Okay, that's what that description is. Now, the attribute is the key. And if you look on the points menu, right down here from this line, below this line, and above that line, these are all these commands that have to do with the attributes. So you can move attributes. You can move them with a leader that points to it, you know, so it stacks them out here and then points a line down to it. You can resize, erase, twist, fix overlaps. So this twist point attributes, if I were to say that, and I'm going to twist by, and I look down there on the bottom, and let's just say by the twist screen, that means it's going to line up with the screen. The attributes to twist, in this case, it will just be the description. The angle relative to the current twist, which would be 0. Now select the points from the screen group or number. I can say screen and pick this. Okay, and so now it is lined up horizontal, you see.
Right.
So which may or may not have been what you wanted. But here's another one of Ken's rules of map making is be consistent. If you have them, you know, one way, as much as possible, try to make them the same across the board. Now, let's see what else we have. We'll come back.
On the right that needs to be rotated.
Yeah, this one here. Now, looks like that has a a line that's supposed to be like a leader for that?
Yeah, it don't know that I necessarily need that leader if I move that a little bit closer to the point.
Correct. But here's something else too. I want you to know that you don't have to do that at all. I'll let you drive now. Go to the points menu and choose down in that leader block. Let's choose move point attributes with leader. Okay, now look at your prompts, one of which is O for options. So choose O. And right up here is that we want to know the minimum leader length scalar. So that's a distance in plotted inches that you're saying this is the minimum amount, or this is, I need to move that attribute at least this far before it draws a leader. 1/10 of an inch might be too small, might be just right. You might want to say, well, maybe give it a 1/4 inch, or maybe 0.25. So set that to 0.25 for right now. That means it has to be at least a 1/4 of an inch away from the point before it's going to draw a leader. Okay. And now we want to check on, and we have to draw the horizontal leader tick. That's a little landing space that the arrow is going to show you. And whether or not we want to draw an arrowhead to the point. Okay. And that's entirely up to you whether you want to draw the arrowhead or not. Some like it as a general rule. Now, the minimum length of the arrow is we don't need that to be 2/10, and again, it's a scalar. So I'm going to probably want that to be 1/10. So I'll set that to be to 0.1. And then the arrow size. Oh, wait, I know what that means. Go up there where you have 0.1. And let's make that 0.3. Now, what that means is, first of all, in the first number above, minimum leader length, that's how far away it has to cross before it generates a leader. This next distance is how far away it has to draw before it draws the arrowhead. Okay. So if we said 0.25, then as soon as it draws a leader, it's going to always draw an arrowhead. But if we're really in close and tight to leave the arrowheads off, we can sort of control this that way. So now the arrow size scalar, this is the height of the arrowhead from edge to edge, not from tip of the nose to the back of the arrows, but the other direction. So 0.08 would match probably, like the text height. So I would tone that down to maybe a 0.06. Okay, and then the leader offset scalar, again, that word scalar meaning plotted inches, that is how far away from the point do you want the tip of the arrow to be? And if you have it as 0, then it's going to point exactly to the center of the point. Some people like to see that. For instance, up here in this corner point, it'll point right there to that intersection. Or you can give it a, let's say you generally set your point symbols to be 1/10 of an inch tall. You could say 0.05, and then the arrowhead would point toward that, but it would start it at some distance away from where the point is. Okay. So, I personally usually leave mine at 0, and but you can see sometimes that can interfere with the actual symbol of the point. So we'll try it and see. Now the leader layer, let's go ahead and leave it on this thing called the block layer. That means it's going to go on the same layer that the points are going to go on. And then the point name, elevation, description, order. That's because, remember, those are the three things about a point that are, those are those three attributes. And when you do this, and I'll show you what you mean, just leave it right now set to 1, 2, 3 and say, okay. Now, let's choose, this is, so select the point label to move. So click on that one. Now move it off to the, move it over to the right a little bit further. No, just from, yeah, and keep coming down a little bit. Right there, click. Now, this is what's happened. You see how it, and let's go ahead and click OK to finish that.
Okay.
Or just hit enter, I'm sorry. Okay, now, what's happened here is a couple of things. Oh, well, that came back. All right. Let's see, this is a leader. It is red, it's on layer boundary. That's also layer boundary. All right, I want it on that layer. I don't want it to be that thick. There's the arrowhead, okay. So, but remember that 1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
If we had the point number and the elevation and the description all shown on, and I'll do that with this command right here just to show it to you, because you probably have them frozen in this viewport, and that would be the points number and the point and the point description. No, not the description, I'm sorry, the elevation. So the elevation, oh, you don't have any elevation on them, there we go.
Oh.
So here's what would be, now I'll turn that off for right now and then do a regen. So now there's that. And if I had a, let's do an elevation. That does elevation. Let's say 2. All right, now move point attributes with leader, and all I have to do is pick on any one of them. Okay, and it's going to change to be like so. Now there's that horizontal, and there's that 1, 2, and 3. So to make this work the way you have these shown, you would normally have your layers with point number is frozen and point elevation is frozen. Oops, frozen. Okay, so what we would want to do then is do the same thing, move point attributes with leader, and then let's type the options again. That was that O. And now let's change that. We want what was number 3 to be number 2. Instead, in elevation, we can put number 3. That part doesn't really matter. I might want to All right, so now it's going to line up opposite that. Uh, it's too heavy. But I don't want you to have to do this every time. I'm trying to figure out a better way.
Well, I don't think I'm going to have to use a leader very often. I mean, this is the first time I've ever done it.
Right.
And I don't have to do it here. I can just put that description up close to the point.
Yeah, and you can also, when you go back to that move points with leader, notice one of the options is to restore. So if you say R and click that, then it puts it right back where that is. Now it keeps the alignment, it keeps the rotation correct for us as far as you know, the twist screen goes. So now you can, I don't know which one you want to, I don't want to give it,
Yeah, that's
like,
good.
is that one up there a found rebar as well?
No, that's unmarked.
Okay. So if that one needs to go away, make sure that you put that on that frozen layer. Okay.
Yeah.
Or if it stays just as it is, that's fine too. All right. So now we have a couple of solutions there. Now remember, you can either select this, move it from this grip, not this one. But when you rotate it about this, or go to your points,
Let me go ahead and
move point. Yeah. So you can either, now if you just move the point attributes, it's going to keep it that same rotation. But if you move point attributes with a leader, and if you stay within that cutoff distance, the leader won't generate and it will straighten it out. So try that one, move point attributes with leader. Click on that. Now just move it till anywhere, click, and then now hit enter to finish. Now just click on it and take the grip and resize it at this point. There you go. Perfect. Now just move it. Well, click, now move it. And make sure you don't, wait a minute, let's see. No. Whoops. Let me see here. If I click, yeah, that's the one I want there, not, yeah, that's the one for one of these other ones. You want the little grip that shows up right there on the description. So get the one that's just to the lower left of the C. Now move that one around. And make sure if it keeps sucking into those points, make sure you go up and hit that little turn this off, you know, kind of button. Okay.
Let's see. You said to move that one with.
Yeah, and just all you got to do is move it a little bit to get the rotation to go to where it's horizontal on the page. Now, if you have to move it further away, it will draw the whole thing. So now you have to finish the command though, Mike. It keeps letting you choose. Yeah, there you go. Now get the one that's right there. Perfect. Okay. Looks like you got it.
Okay, let me see something here.
Now, here's something too that I see. Is that you see how big the description is for unmarked versus the size for found number 5 rebar?
Yeah.
Okay. So you might want to tone those descriptions down a little bit. Like,
Yeah. How do
I don't know, do you have a minimum text size that they want you to use?
Not that I know of.
Okay. And also, do you want, like, there's a lot of these points, I'm sure we're done with the wipeouts. But I'm still seeing the lines underneath them.
Yeah.
And that's because the lines have been edited or modified and they're out of drawing order.
Okay,
So if you select, there you go, select similar, even if you want to do more than one. Keep coming down right there. There you go. And then right click that and set your draw order to the back.
The back or the front?
To the back. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm thinking I'm selecting the lines. No, you're right, to the front. There you go.
Oh, that one didn't work.
Yeah, it may or may not have been on the same layer. So
Oh, it's that's right.
yeah, should be that. There it is. All right. And then there's another one.
Well, and this one isn't as heavy as these. What?
That's fine. But if you still, does it need to go up in front of the line work?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, right.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, so okay, what else to talk about? All right, let's talk about the power line style.
Okay.
Now, if I select that line and look at its properties, and I see it's on a layer called power line, and its line type is by layer. So we need to make sure that the layer power line is set to use the power line layer. So we look at our layers and we find that layer power line. All right, there it is. Select, and it has a line type of continuous. Okay. So we want to scroll down here and see if we can find that power line. And I'm going to think that maybe it's not.
I don't think so. I just look.
Yeah. Okay. You could do that. Yeah. No. Go ahead. And what we're doing here is the CAD approach to this, and I'm going to show you the Carlson approach to it in just a minute, which you might find easier. But doing it this way, and the fact that there even is a Carlson approach to it is because AutoCAD never could do it correctly and still can't. And Carlson had to take it upon themselves to try to help out. And it's still, line styles in AutoCAD are just abysmal. Now, I don't necessarily see anything that would work there. And so what you would have to do is you have to know, see right now it's looking at this right up here, this thing called lcad.lin. So you'd have to have a line type file that had a power line style defined in it. You probably don't have one necessarily. So so what we'll do is the Carlson way.
Okay.
Because it's almost, you have to be almost like an assembly language programmer to be able to set these line type styles up. All right, so cancel that. So now, and cancel that. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and close this off. So instead of doing this by layer, we're going to change the line style of that drawn line. Excuse me. And by the way, when we do this, it will load that line style for us that we could then set it to that by layer and have it work from that point on. But here's what we'll do. It's already drawn. Let's go now to, and this is an annotation type operation. So we want to go to the annotate menu. Annotation, remember, is where it draws your bearings and distances and you know, labels and all that kind of stuff. No, not the annotation scale, but the menu, yes. And you come down about a third of the way from the bottom up. There is a, there you go. And we want to change the polyline line type. Okay. So now here's a bunch of things that are drawn. Now, a lot of these are, and I'll show you here. If you hit this next, see how there's all these different line types.
Right.
Now, some of them, if you look at these names, well, yours are not. It looks like they used to have little indicators that you could tell whether they were built in or not. But in any case, so what we want to do is pay. So what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to a couple of things. One of which are these numbers down here, and we're going to see what this means. We have a spacing scalar, a symbol size, and a gap size. And that's a gap size factor. That's a relative factor of this symbol size. So if I'm using a line style that has a symbol in it, like these arrows, or if it's a water line, and there's the W, then that's that size that I want that symbol to be. Well, the word scalar, that tells you plotted inches. I don't want them to be a whole inch tall. So I'm going to change that to be, oh, I don't, you know, maybe a tenth or maybe even 0.08. Okay. Now the spacing scalar, this is how long, how far do I draw this line before I repeat the symbol? And I usually like to put that about a little bigger than an inch, about 1.25 inches.
Okay.
Otherwise, AutoCAD likes to put line styles like every 3/8 of an inch. So you can always tell somebody who's new with AutoCAD when they turn in a engineering map and they're showing the water lines, which normally we would put a W down every 1.5 to 2 inches. And you can see those W's are like every 3/8 of an inch down the line. Yeah. Totally unnecessary and just hogs up the drawing. But anyway, this is what we're doing. And then the gap size is how big of a gap surrounding the symbol or text that's in the line style relative to the size of that symbol or text. So in this case, we'll leave it at 1 and see what it will look like. Now, we could, if we knew the name up here, choose it from this list, but it's easiest. There's
an electric down there.
Yeah, so, but it's easier even when you choose that because you can't see what it looks like yet.
Okay, yeah.
You can also see the names down here under the pictures. So I would hit this next button.
Okay.
Until you see the electric. So go ahead and say next. All right, so now we've got fence. There's electric 1 and electric 2. Looks like electric 2 is what we want. Okay. Now, select the entity, select the line work to change. So select that, and that's it. And there it is. Okay.
That's pretty good.
Now, yeah, now it could be that, you know, maybe having it every inch and a quarter, maybe we'll see how it looks sort of excessive. So maybe every 2 inches
Yeah.
would even be sufficient. So I would just go back. Well, here's one thing. Go ahead and select it. Now look over at its properties and you see it now has a line type.
Yeah.
And it's called electric 2 and it has 1-25-08-111. So it went and built that line type definition on the fly for you.
Okay.
Okay. So you could at this point, excuse me, come back to your layer. What was that layer called?
Electric.
Power. Electric.
Power.
See, I could come right here now and say, there's that electric.
Yeah.
Okay. I also noticed there's this overhead electric.
Yeah. I think we've used that before, actually.
Yeah. Let's see what that one looks like for us for a minute. I'm going to choose that and then change this to be by layer. Let's see what it looks like. And yeah, so this is OH instead of E.
Yeah, I think it's better saying E.
Okay, so now I'll undo that. So what I want to do though is I want to change the spacing there. Now here's the thing with this line style that we just made. If we select it and say, let's change our line type scale to 2 instead of 1, that's going to spread the spacing out twice, but look what it also does. Well, yeah, so it also makes them twice the height.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't want that. So we're going to actually go back and redo that command up here and set this correctly. Now, here's a couple of other things to keep in mind. The E, when you use a line style that has a piece of text in it, it's going to always use the style of text that is set as your current text style. Okay.
Okay.
And right now that looks like it's an Arial text, and that can be fine. That's probably absolutely fine. But you could, if you wanted, let's go back to this and let's look down here at our text styles and let's see if we have, I don't have any italic, but I'm going to make a new one here. So I'm going to say new, and I'll just call this one italic. Well, let's call it this. Existing features. Because, and it may or may not be that way in your jurisdiction, but in Pennsylvania, PennDOT has anything that you label that is existing is in italic text. If it's proposed, it's in vertical text. Yeah, so if I choose that, and I'm going to choose this font next, and instead of using that Arial, I'm going to set this to be that that Roman, and it's an IC, in this case, Roman S. That's Roman simplex, IC for the IntelliCAD to avoid the lawsuit. And right here where it says obliquing angle, I'm going to give that an angle of say 12 degrees. And I'm going to double click on that. And I'm going to say, okay. Now, if I were to simply do a piece of text, for instance, I'll click there, I'll set my height, just call it test. See how it's see how it's italic?
Yeah.
Okay, just like this up here would be.
Yeah.
All right, so now I'm going to go back, or I'm going to let you go back to the annotate menu. Hold on a quick second. There we go. All right. So line types. There you go. Change the polyline line type. And we're going to hit next until we see that electric that we want. There it is. So we're going to choose that, but then down there, oops, I'm sorry. I thought we could select it first. Press escape. Press escape first. You got to get out of the command. Okay, now go to annotate and line types. There you go. All right, so first change that from instead of 1 1/4, let's make that 2 1/2, or maybe even 3. It's up to you how often you want it to be. Okay, everything else seemed to be okay. Now let's go next and choose that E, and now choose that and hit enter to finish. And what did it do? Let's see if we, whoops, if we, looks like it's still using that. No, it's no longer using the aerial, but it's not. Oh, we also want to set that back down to 1. Oh well, it
Well,
didn't read the.
Let's
Yeah,
go back for a minute to something else you started to talk about, and that is making those labels more uniform.
yes, yeah. So I'm going to come back here and get back on my standard text style.
Okay.
See that adjoiners has, and there's one called slant. It's also got that 12. I don't know why it didn't, why it doesn't honor that. It doesn't matter. All right, so now to get these to match to be where they want to be, remember what that is. That's a description.
Right.
And what do we call that though in terms of the point? That's one of the points attributes, right?
Right.
So let's look on the points menu and look in that attribute chunk of commands. And I see that, there you go. Perfect. Now, so how do you want to do the resizing? Now, here's 2 ways. If you say scale, you can say, all right, I want everything to be twice what it is now or half what it is now. That's what your scale would be, or, you know, 1/10 of what it is now. Or if you say A for absolute, that's what we want. We want to set them all to be the same thing. So A for absolute. And so now it wants a point attribute and symbol size. So let's see, I'm not exactly sure, because this either is a ground distance or it's not prompting you to say size scalar. But let's try using, hey, this is a 100 scale map, is it?
I don't remember.
Let's see. There you go. Yep, it's 100 scale. So 100 scale would be, then go back up to that corner where we were. So that means at 0.08, that's going to be 8 feet. So that could be what we want, or you might even make them. Yeah, well, no, I mean, that would be at 1 inch equals 100 feet. 8 feet on the ground would be 0.08 inches plotted on the paper. If in fact this prompt is asking us for ground distance, we're going to find out. So right now, if we say 8, go ahead and hit enter for that. And scale symbols only, labels only, or both. So let's say L for labels. Select the points from the screen, group, or by number. So we'll say by the screen. You have to tell it which method first. And now pick one of those just to test. And hit enter. Okay, so that set that up to that. Now, since these are point labels, can you make them a little bit smaller? Would 0.06 work? Okay, so we can do that by setting that to ground commands. Now this bothers me that they departed from their usual method of asking for heights. They should have asked you for a scalar, but they're not apparently. So we resize the attributes by absolute. And now 6 is what we want. And we're going to say labels. We're going to select by the screen. Now, instead of pick, just type the word all. Hit enter and hit enter one more time. To finish now, they're all set to the same size. Okay. But now you've still got some rotation and moving and all that kind of stuff that you might want to do.
Yeah.
Same things with those. What did you say these were right here? Oh, fence line. All right, so we don't really even need those points, or were those surveyed points, or did you just put them there?
No, surveyed points, but I don't need them anymore. I could put them on the frozen.
Yeah, I would do that. Or if they're not fence posts, are they? That
no.
Okay, so I would just freeze those. Okay. So I would select them. Change that layer. No. Oh. Yeah, there you go.
What do we call that?
Remember, they all start with PNT. We did that so that we could find them quickly. There you go.
And enter.
Well, it's already done. You can just press escape to deselect the grips. Now, one thing to remember here is that, let's say you get a lot of headway made with this that you're doing, and you want to use it on your next project. Remember, you can open both those two drawings, and then you can drag and drop layers from one into the other one based, on this tool up here. Remember, anything that you choose, a line style, a text style, or a layer, you could come down here and find this points, or I can just come up here and type PNT, and I might say, all right, I want to use that in my new drawing. So you'd have both drawings open. You would just drag that and drop it on the word that says layers in the other drawing. Okay. All right, now, a couple of other things here. let me ask you this. The power line that extends off in this direction for that line, that's great. What about in here? Does it come up to here? Or does it?
Yep, no, it continues.
It continues on. So we should probably do the same thing there.
So we do that as a stretch?
Yes, you sure can.
Okay,
so if you select it, yeah. Now you can, if you select that and stretch that, that's gonna, just go ahead and do that. I'm gonna show you. Grab the grip and move it to the left. Yeah, just, you don't have to choose stretch. You can just grab it, just click. Now don't worry about getting off the point. I'm going to show you how to get back on the point in just a second. So drag it where you want the other end of it to be. Okay, like a little, there you go, somewhere there. Okay, click. Yeah. Now, there is no point over this point. You're just eyeball good. You're not actually on it. Okay. But if you go to, see, we couldn't say add vertex. In case that was the starting point, it won't let you add one before it. That's why I pulled it out here. And now I'm going to go into this middle grip right here and choose add vertex. I'll let you do it. And now go over there and snap to that end point of that, either the end point of the line, or is it the not that end point, but zoom in tight for a minute. Okay, now, whoa. See, well, it's no longer that, but if you, let me see this here. Is it, see the end point of this line is all the way out here, so we don't want that. So we want it to be the insertion point of that point. So we need to say a different snap that we don't have going on right now. So let's choose, let me see what this one is. A point object snap. Let's see if, yeah, see, if I go to the settings menu and see, this is a Carlson thing. It's not an AutoCAD thing. So the point object snap, I've turned it on. You can see it's on right there. And now when I, oops, now I just move that to, and if I get near that, you see how it's going straight to that center? Yeah. Okay. Now, if you're zoomed in tight enough, you can certainly snap to the center of that as a circle, or the insertion point of that as a block. Those are all fine. Or even what they call the node point, or the, it's this right here. Yeah. Set the node snap. That means that finds the AutoCAD point or IntelliCAD point. Now, we've got this line that sits over top of those 2 points. So we want to fix that. So we want to select that line, which it is selected, and let's put it in the back. There you go. Okay. Now, that little E, oh, how come? There we go. Okay, so if you don't want that E to be that close to that point, then there's a couple of things you can do. You can either, because where these symbols happen is based on where the line starts and stops. Where the you know, where the size of it is. Where did that? We missed that. I don't know why that didn't take the last time. Huh. Okay. So there now is where that one, so now has a place there. So you can see where this goes, and it's jammed in here too tight. Now we can't just slide that around. It would be nice if we could, but so what we have to do is do a couple of things with that symbolically. And the same thing applies for these dashes down here and any of these dashes going through the corners. Is let's look down over here now with that selected, and we see that it has this line type generation says yes. And that means that it will flow through the corners without restarting. If I need it to restart as it goes to the corners, I change that to no. And now, well, that fixed it visually just fine. Okay. And now there's a trick when that's done that way, is if
Tell me where that is again.
it's in the properties, I look at that and it's all the way at the bottom, line type generation.
Okay.
And this is just a CAD thing. This is the same thing of when you have a meandering, like a stream center line or a contour line, and it has a dash or a dash dot 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 dash or solid dot dot dot. If you say no, then every time it hits a vertex, it starts the line pattern over again. So part of it looks solid and continuous, and you don't see the pattern until you get the points far enough apart to make it repeat. So what you have to do is for those lines that you want to flow through those corner points so that they don't, in fact, let me give you an example here. Let's just copy this. Okay, so right there's one of them. Let's copy another. All right, so what we'll do is we'll pretend, let me get this scooted up here a little bit. All right, now we'll pretend one of these is, say, maybe a oh, I don't know, you know, the outline of a pond or a contour line. And I'm going to actually do a little something here. I'm going to densify and let's see, every, say, 5 feet. Let's undo that. Let's make that so you can see it. Okay. All right. So you can see if this were, for instance, you know, some feature like a contour line or a stream center line, You see what it does? Because it has the line type generation says no. That means every time it hits a vertex or one of these grips, it's going to start the line pattern over again. So when it's here and it goes to here, well, it can get, there's enough room to get the pattern shown, but then it starts over again. Okay. And then when it gets out here, you see all of these grips. There's not enough room. Every time it hits one of those, it starts it over again. And that's why you don't see, and it looks all solid in here. And that's why you'll sometimes see maps like that. You'll see stream center lines that are partly solid and partly by pattern. Same thing with contours.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes though, you want the condition to be like that, in which case here's an example. And that's why this one is set to no. Because if it's set to yes, you see what the danger is? Tell me where the corner is right here or right here.
Right.
You know, you can see them up here and that's just pure coincidence.
Yeah.
But if you say no, then it will always start, you'll always see the corner points.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how you can get around that. Okay. All right. So while we're here, these two gray lines, should they be extensions of these?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to fix those as well. First of all, this one looks like is in paper space. And so is that one. Okay. So we will, and should they be on a joiner?
Yes.
Or should they match? Well, they shouldn't match that.
Right.
But
that would be the same as that one where you.
Yeah. All right. So in fact, I'm just going to take this one out and I'm going to go here and we're going to do the same thing that like we did for this power line. Instead of stretching that necessarily, let's see if we can add a vertex. All right. So you see, it wouldn't let me add it in front of it. I had to add it. So it's going to add somewhere here in the middle. So let's try this. I'm going to add a line here just temporarily as a marker. All right, I'm going to use that. And now I'm going to select this. I'm just going to pick it out here. And I'll put it down here or just anywhere I want it. Oh, wait a minute. No, let me rethink that. I'm going to move this down here. I'm going to give this a target to extend that line because I don't need, or do I need that point to be the extension of that? I can always reset that. Okay. Let me see. I'm going to do this just for yucks. Okay. So I've got this as a target. I've got this as a temporary marker. I'm going to select this. I'm going to extend this. And now, just in case, because that was probably computed when you extended that line, I'm going to select this and I'm going to right click, oops, not right click, but hover over the grip and add a vertex, and I'm going to add it at that end point. And I'll now select these two temporary lines and get rid of them. Now this guy, oh, again, it's out here. I'm going to select it and I'm going to come down here, back inside of here, and I'm going to change that layer. First, I'm going to change my color. There we go. And that was a joiner. Okay. I'll draw this line using the current properties. I'm going to go from that endpoint to I'm just going to go nearest to here. Okay. And there's that one. And I'm going to just move that. Notice I'm not using the grips because I want to move. I use the grips to get oriented to that line. And now I picked the whole thing up and moved it. I need to put it in the back. So there's that. Now the line style didn't show up because I need to make that a little longer. And I can't. There's my extension. Let's set its line type scale down just a little bit. I want to get that. Oh, what is this line types boundary? No, that should be. All right, so 0.1 is too small. 0.3 is too big. Trying to use, what is that? What is this one? It's also a 0.25. Okay. So I'm going to select all of these, select similar, and I'm going to change their scales to 0.25. There we go. This one I'm going to get rid of, just like we did this last business. And we're going to draw from this endpoint up to here. Select it, move it from that endpoint to that endpoint. And then we're going to match from this, oh, sorry. Oh, I did what I should have done. I need to be back in here before I draw that. So I'm going to go from here to here. going to move from this endpoint to this endpoint. And I'm going to match this to that. And let's see if I can adjust that a little ways. If I yeah, that's what I'm afraid I can't do that. Okay, no problem.
Okay,
So
about 15 minutes or so left. Maybe we should start on the vicinity map.
okay. All right. So
Made a lot of progress.
yeah, so a couple things now you'll be able to fix those. Same thing with these orientations on these dimensions. And if you have a difficult time, because these are dimensions,
Yeah.
if you have a hard time trying to get those to line things up, like here's a dimension with a leader, and if you're trying to, move stuff around, that can be fine like that, but you don't necessarily need it to be bent over at that angle. That was done, if you notice, that's this 0 rotation.
Yeah.
So you could, if you get down to the brass tacks and you need to really get things moving, you can explode a dimension. So if you select it and come over here and get this dynamite,
yeah,
and explode it, well, now that's a piece of text, that's a line. So you could, say delete that, pick this text up, move it up to here, and just give it a rotation, and just move it around to where it looks good, like so. Okay, so don't be afraid to do stuff like that when you have to.
Okay.
But keep in mind, if you were to explode certain things like a point,
yeah,
you're going to lose that information because those are attributes.
Okay.
All right. But I would try, actually, when you're inside of here, now that you have your twist screen set,
yeah,
try redrawing those,
yeah, okay,
from the way you did them from inside of here, and that should straighten those out. Should, I'm not guaranteeing it, but anyway. All right, so you know how to do that business. Now let's go on to this. Let's first come down here.
Oh yeah.
And now you see how these lines and these pieces of text are, that's what we want to have sort of consistent. And it should be probably this same line here needs to go the same way. So I'm going to say from there, I want to move, and I'll put that down. Now, I'm not getting so precise that I'm, I'm not measuring it and then
right,
doing anything there. I'm just making sure that they look good.
yeah.
All right, so now I also noticed this here too. What is this?
I don't know. It's a viewport. I don't know what it's for.
Yeah, we don't really need that, so we can just get rid of it. That was there in case you had another part. That was, oh, I know what was from the last one where we had the legend showing through. That was that. Now, this, that's why it's showing up as those dashes. See those double dashes?
Yeah.
See this line up here?
Yeah.
That's because it's on that layer.
Oh.
So that's all right. All we got to do is select all of these. Oops, let me grab that one. And was that one also? Okay. So now that we have those selected, let's come up here to the layer and let's change it. And there should be one. I've got a bunch of them here called title block, line work, title block notes. So let's just change it to title block notes. And now, perfect. Okay. I will set this to match. Oops. That endpoint exactly. Oh, undo. Hmm. I don't think this is going to have much effect. Yeah, maybe. All right, I'm sort of trying to get the row heights to be the same since you put them side by side like that. So now that's good. All righty. All right, so now the last bit business here. Now, these two things, should there be a date under that, just like this one?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So really, this and this, those should be lined up exactly the same as should these and these. So we're going to line these up. I'm going to do that by drawing a line from this insertion point straight up by holding the shift key down, click. All right. So now this, I'm going to move from the insertion point of the text to perpendicular over to there. So now that's lined up with that. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to move from that endpoint to that endpoint. And it looks like move from there to right in there. And I'm going to come down here and grab this text. Copy that. And come here and paste that. And I need let's see something. All right. That should just be one of those. There we go. There. Now that's going to match the other one. And that's going to match. And I can get rid of this. Okay. I would maybe suggest that. Saw what I did there?
No.
You had this as a capital S right here.
Okay.
And I also see that developer needs to be an E instead of an I.
Yeah.
All right. Now, are you aware that there's a spell checker?
No.
All right. Well, there is. Wonder where Carlson put it.
Well, maybe we should continue with the location.
We can, yeah, we can find that another day. But anyway, there is just in general in CAD in general. I would also suggest perhaps,
That.
yeah, let's put that out here. That's more oriented to the drawing.
Yeah.
Because it was getting lost down there. Okay. So we're good to go there. Now all we need to do is get this done here. And by the way, that last thing you showed me where you loaded stuff up and had all that other crap,
Yeah.
you know, all of the stuff. What you can do is once you're done with everything that you're doing here is just select all this stuff and get rid of it. Okay. So I would do that. You can leave those two corner pieces on there if you want. Oops, now I zoomed out there and there's something out here. Don't know what it is. But it's finding some reason to not zoom to those full extents. Could be some annotative text, maybe there's something. It's still. Still something out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the edit menu and I'm going to erase outside. And I'm going to say everything that's outside of these corners. I want you to erase. It did now. Everything, there was something out there, some definition that was causing that to be a problem.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, are these, if these corners need to be shown as such, that's fine. But if not, you know how to freeze those point symbols. I wanted to set this as a fence line. That was one thing we needed to finish up real quick. And I don't want to do it by changing this line to be a fence line. And does a fence, by the way, go from?
No, goes from about where that power pole is.
From the power pole down to here?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I would suggest is let's go ahead and say use this the same layer, or do we have a layer called fence?
I don't think so.
There's a site, and oh, do we have a V? Proposed site. Oh, let's just put it on existing. Okay. And we're going to just draw draw a line, a polyline rather. And we're already on existing. So I'm going to go from the center of that to that to that and be done. So I'm basically right over top of the other. And then I'm going to set the color of that to be, say, same as this. And then I'm going to go back to that same trick, annotate line types. And I'm going to see the fence that I want. So there's an X with the spaces, and here's X without the spaces.
I like that one.
All right, so that's the one we'll use. And in that case, the gap size factor won't matter. And that 2.5 inch, let's maybe pull that back to 2. Oops, now I've got to choose that and then choose that. So now it was done. I'll regen all. Boy, I don't see it. Oh, I do, but look how tiny it is.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, it's because it's still on that. Still on a 0.25. All right. I'm not sure our color helps us here. Let's go back to existing. All right, so that's showing the fence. I think we probably ought to change that size. Let's make that 1.25, and let's make that a little bigger, 0.1. That's better. So the X's show and the line shows in between the gaps, and yet it is still thinner than the property line. So that's still going to show. I think that'll be just fine. And if you want those X's to be closer than that,
No, I think
looks like, yeah, if that's sufficient, then that's fine. Okay. So there we go. Oh, by the way, I'm going to save what we're doing here. Now, what we have in terms of a vicinity map is I've got this shown as 1 inch equals 2,000 feet because that came from a quad sheet.
Okay, well,
All
I'll
right.
tell you what the county mapper told me.
Okay.
Nobody scales when their vicinity map's right.
Right. That's what I was getting ready to tell you. It says we have that statement in there because when we did that the last time, we did do that at that scale. Not that it matters, but that is a true statement. So we want to be careful. If we don't do it at this scale, we just want to take the statement of scale out of there.
Right.
Okay. So where is, and I'm going to double click out here and be back on the paper here. So now, so where is the information that we can use that? Like, I don't know where the site is. And first of all, is this site here? It looks like it's on state plane coordinates, right?
It is.
Okay. So there are a couple of things we can do with that. And you've got the GIS module.
Yeah, now how do I turn the GIS module on in this?
Okay.
Or is it on already?
No, I mean, oh yeah, you're in 2020. Probably, yeah, I probably don't have it for 2020. Yeah, see, it's not installed. So if I'm gonna, is this your 2020? Where's 2021?
It's up over the, well, there's the GIS, and the 2021 is down here. And the reason I don't use it is for two reasons. It still won't plot right.
Yeah.
And the other is that all of my tools left. You don't call them tools. I don't know what the word is. Templates.
Yeah.
Not
right.
templates.
Toolbars.
Toolbars.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. So what I'm going to do though is where is this the name of that file we were just in?
No.
All right.
It's not here. You want me to open it?
Just, yeah, go ahead and open that. And all I'm doing this for is just long enough to get that image in.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Now let's see what we can do with that. So here we got, there's no toolbars, nothing. So I'm going to, I don't need the palettes. Let me just do this the easy way.
Can you copy the toolbars from another drawing?
No,
Yeah,
but why?
makes sense.
Let's see here. Whoops. Huh. Well, I don't see, it's not giving me a choice there. That's all right. Let's get, I need to, Carlson. But as these, I don't see where the menus got to. Wow. There we go. Now, let's okay. I think that's all we need for now. So I'm going to switch to the GIS module. So it loaded. And now I'm going to go to images and I'm going to see if I can do this way. If first of all, before I do that, let's make sure we have it set to, we don't. Are we in state plane 83? All right, so state plane 83. West Virginia North. GS 84, that should work. Say okay. And just make sure that's saved. Now, we'll go to images and let's see what we got. We could place a Google Earth image, but I don't know if this is going to be sufficient. If it labels the roads and such. Say from here. There we go. You want just a road map? Do you want an aerial
roadmap
image or a hybrid, which would have the photograph as well as the road names, or just the road names?
What's the easiest?
Yeah, let's try them both and see what they look like.
All right.
So if we say, okay, here's one that's just the road map. And it's going to look like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay.
What's the image look like?
Well, we'll take a peek at that here in just a little bit. So that's
Okay.
that's that one. And I'm going to put this on, I'm going to change my layers. I'm going to go to, what you call it here. And I'm going to say, I'm going to make 2 layers. I'm going to make location map. Streets. And I'm going to make a location map. Oops. Image. Actually, I'm going to make one more. Oh, excuse me. Location map. Hybrid. Okay, now this we will put on location map. I can't see what it is. Streets. Okay. And let's now freeze that. So I'm going to put on my layers. I will freeze that. Now, we'll just repeat that. I'll let you drive. Go to images and go down to place Google Earth image. And now what it's asking you for here, and it's your choice whether you want a JPEG or a JPG or a JPEG or a PNG, which is portable network graphics, or a TIFF file or a bitmap.
I don't know enough about choice.
No, but just take the default. It will always default to JPEGs, the JPGs.
Okay.
So now we did the one called Google Earth. Now you want to get, so what it is it goes out to Google Earth and it gathers this imagery and it creates this image file, stores it on your computer, and then inserts it into your drawing.
Yeah.
So you have to give it a unique name. So we had that first one called Google Earth. Now let's call this one GE for Google Earth dash image, maybe. So we probably should have made the other one Google Earth Streets, but that's all right. So that's going to be there and it's going to our land holdings folder. Everything's good to go with that. We say save. Okay.
Browse and save.
No, browse just changes you from this dialog to the Windows dialog. Now that you've set the file. Okay. Now you want to base it on the screen or the map. Now, if we saw that that size was probably sufficient, then let's just leave this the same way. We'll take screen. So we'll just take that by default and hit enter. Now you want to give it a lower left and an upper right corner. So just right down there. Oops, well, okay, that's fine. Go ahead. Put it wherever you want it to go. I doubt you went far enough. It looked like you stopped right in here. Okay, so let's try it again. I'm going to cancel that. We're going to place your Google Earth image, and we're going to call that Google Earth image. And we'll say it by screen. And now you may have done this. I may have missed it because of Zoom. But see what it says? It wants you to show the bounding box.
Yeah.
So you have to click. So wherever you click, and if you clicked right here, that's all the image you're going to get.
Okay.
So you have to go up here and show it where you want everything to be.
Okay.
So now I'll click up there. Now for here, here's your choices: low, medium, or high resolution. Now notice where we clicked, it didn't have anything available.
Right.
Other than low resolution. So that might not have been real good. Let's look at the aerial though and see if that has a difference. No, it's still, well, let's still try it. Now down here where it says layer, we're going to hit set and we're going to find that image. Oops, not image. What did we call that?
Location.
Thank you. Glad somebody's paying attention. All right, now let's try that and see what it looks like. It may be too low a resolution, in which case we'll need to shorten it up a little bit. That's not too bad, actually.
Doesn't label the streets though.
Oh, that's perfect. That low resolution would be just fine. No, it doesn't, but I'm going to show you what will. So we have this, and now let's
Freeze it.
let's see, let's get that like that. So now go ahead and let's freeze that layer. Yep.
Freeze layer.
And then, yep, and then pick the edge of it. Okay. Now hit enter to finish the command. And let's go back and run the command one more time. And this time we're going to choose the hybrid. So let's give it a name. And you can click on that one that's already down there where it says Google Earth image.
Okay.
Or,
And change
yeah,
it
now,
to hybrid.
yes, correct. There you go. And hit save.
Screen.
By screen. And now give it a lower left to upper right. And yeah, make sure it's big enough to where, there you go. And now you want to change the map type up at the top, right there. Change that to hybrid. And now look at the resolution and see if you can get any higher resolution. You may not. Oh, there's medium, so choose that. And say okay.
Where is it? Oh, do we change the layer?
Well, there's hybrid.
Yeah, but did we put it on image? I mean, on, yeah.
Oh, I bet we did. Let me see. Nope, it's only showing one.
Okay, what did I do wrong?
I don't know. Let's see.
Try it again.
Yeah, but hang on. just one. Okay.
Oh, I noticed something. Can I zoom in there real quick again?
Yep.
It has this road name as 1/2. Not, I think I have 1/9.
Yep.
Okay.
Keep in mind, this is just Google, so don't call it gospel. Make sure you
Right.
double check somewhere else.
Yeah.
All right. So just make a note of that. I'll leave that to you. All right, let's see here. First of all, I'm going to take a look to see if we got anything in that image file. So find me that folder, wherever that project is. Yeah, it's under Carlson, I think. And now we're going to sort by type.
There's a Google Earth hybrid.
All right, so there's my JPEG, and let's see if it's actually. All right, so there's the image. Let's see. Oh, this is. That's what I want to do. Yeah, see, like Bunkhouse Road.
There's the site right
One.
there, but it's not showing up.
Right, right. This is just the image. I just don't know why. So there's that image. I can go to the next file. Do that. See, there's the original one. There's image, and that has none of the labels. And then this has the actual labels. Now, you may decide when this comes in, and I don't know why it didn't, but we did find it. I'm gonna suggest I'm gonna take that and actually delete it. We'll try it again. We might want to do our own labels once we see what they are, but I'll leave that up to you. Or it could mean that it really doesn't matter much. Okay. So let's place Google Earth image. And we're going to say hybrid by screen. Now, I want to get this enough. Medium hybrid. There's the bounds.
Differently is
what was that?
we picked a medium resolution instead of a low.
That is correct. And I wonder if that might have had some issue for us. It's just, nope, apparently not. Apparently this is sufficient. It's sufficient to a point. Notice it's out of whack.
Yeah, it's in the wrong place.
Yeah. All right. Let's make sure our settings are still good. Now, I'll tell you why that probably is. It's because I used that same name and it was used once before. There's something about it that it doesn't like when we repeat those names. I don't know what that is or why that is. It shouldn't be. So if we place Google Earth, we'll call this one hybrid 2 by screen. And I'm going to go from here up to here. Medium, hybrid, hybrid 2, ... and boom. Now we're better.
Yeah.
So you see those little labels out here?
Yeah.
Like Route 9 and that little 9.
Yeah.
See, they're real close together, and they probably won't show up very well on our location map. So what I would really suggest, so you've got that labeled here anyway. What I would suggest is that we maybe freeze this other, we freeze this one and use the one that shows just the image.
Okay.
And then we type our own labels in. So we want to, let's see, what there was what, Fox Glen.
We don't need it that far away, just 115, just those 2 road names at the intersection, 115 and Bunkhouse Road.
All right, up there's Bunkhouse.
No, I mean,
Farmhouse.
Border Road and Farmhouse Lane and Route 115. I think that's sufficient.
Okay. So just whatever these roads are, you want to label them. And like, this is the major highway out here. I'd maybe put that on there. Because keep in mind, Mike, I know that the people you're going to give this to are familiar with the area. They live there, they're going to see it, but not necessarily everybody who sees this map is going to be. Okay.
Yeah.
So it could be that, you know, you'll want to use this for other purposes. Now, we're inside our file that we've been working in all along. But I'm going to suggest that we use this for a very specific purpose, and we simply do a save as. We stay in the right place, and we're going to call this the location mapping, for instance, file, okay? Because that way, you know, there's a lot of data here. We can turn it on and off, and we can throw things away that we don't necessarily need. Like, for instance, I don't need, well, there's those things, but I'm going to change them. But, you know, I may not need to have anything more than just this outline like this.
Right.
Okay. And then we'll do all that when we resize it in the other drawing. Okay. All right. So now we've done that. We'll close this off. And we're going to go back to where we were. Okay. So we are here. We need to get that information up into this area at a sufficient scale that indicates where our site is, but yet still gives them an idea of how to drive to it. Yeah. Okay, so let's figure out a strategy for that. If, because I know it's an external file, so I'm going to do an external reference of that file. And let me think about this for a second. If I see, I don't want to necessarily put it where the in the same coordinate space here as the other one is, because I want to put it off to the side somewhere so that I can do a viewport and then just bring the viewport in to right here.
Yeah.
You follow me? Because if I do it at the same locations here, which I could, and that might even be what we wind up doing, but you know, we're going to probably, what's that?
It saves as a JPEG.
Yeah, well, the JPEG is just that image. That's correct, but we don't have the we don't have the boundary of our site on that image, but the image is there.
Okay.
Now we can just draw, okay, that stuff. But if we go, let's go here for a minute, and we're going to insert that drawing instead of XREF. We're going to insert it as a block. And the reason I'm going to do that is so that I can put it off to the side over here and use that to reference in my mapping over here. Okay. So let's go to the draw menu. I'll let you do it. And we're going to insert all the way at the bottom, or almost all the way. Okay. And now, right now it's looking for blocks that are inside the drawing already, but we need to do it from file. So we'll switch that and we'll hit browse and we'll find location mapping file, which is, no, it's sitting there right in front of your face.
Oh.
Right there. There you go. And open. And now, right here's where it's going to be slightly different. Normally, if you were to uncheck where it says specify on screen, it would go in at the right coordinates. Everything goes in together where it's supposed to be. Okay. So we want to leave specify on.
So quick side question here. If I wanted to show features like that on my plat, I could do that like that?
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to show features on your plat, the best thing to do is no, I understand, but the better thing to do there would be to instead of saving it off as a separate file, you just bring it into this file.
Right. Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. Just like we did before, but we took the extra step of doing this so we can sort of scoot this out of the way and refer to it separately.
Okay.
All right, so now we want to, we do say we want to specify on the screen. So that's what, no, that's scale. Yeah, see, it's already checked to specify on the screen. So we're going to say, we'll go ahead and say insert. Okay, now here's where it is. It's asking you to pick a point that, now before you do that, but it's asking you to tell it where you want the insertion point to be, which is 0, 0. Now 0, 0, remember when, now before you type that, I want you to understand here, 0, 0 was the origin of that original drawing.
Yeah.
And the coordinates we're working with are up in the millions. They're in the state plane, right? So what we're trying to do is simply bring this thing in and have it shifted just a little bit, maybe off to the right of where we are here. So if we type, instead of 0, 0, let's type, I don't know, how big across is that site? Like maybe if we type 1000, 0, what would that look like?
I don't know.
So, but you see what I'm doing? I'm saying instead of going to 0, 0, I want you to shift 1,000 feet to the right and then put it down. Go ahead and hit enter. And then hit enter, or no, I'm sorry, now zoom out so we can see everything. Okay, let's see here. All right, that's enough. Let's see. There's that one file. Oh, see, there's your original lines in here. So 1,000 feet wasn't really very far, but I've got it selected and I'm just going to move it. And I'm doing this for no other purpose than to just get it outside of, this is what's showing up in my little title block frames, right? Oh, over here in my viewports, I mean to say. But this is what I'm going to use to put in my vicinity map. Now, also what I'm going to do here is let's just draw the boundary of this outside shape.
Okay. Hit draw. Hit polyline.
Yep, just draw a 2D polyline. And let's put it on, let's uncheck this. And let's put it on location hybrid. And let's set it to be this light gray. And we'll set, right now the width is a ground distance. We won't do that when we're going to, we'll give it a line weight in just a minute. Okay, so, but this is what we'll do. Now, go ahead and say okay. And then just snap to the, well, make sure you get that outside corner. There you go. And then, yep, right there, just corner and go up to the far corner. I wouldn't even bother with those. I wouldn't try to make it exact. I just want to make an overall. There you go. Click and go. Perfect. Click.
Wait a minute. Should I go all the way out to the road?
Oh, yeah. I mean, wherever we're, I mean, what is our site?
Well, our site is actually this down here.
Yeah, but I mean, were these two things, are they part of the original property maybe?
Yes.
Okay, then I would do that, yeah. And then just grab one of those corners there and then grab, say that, there you go, like that. And go down, and when you get back to where you started from, I would just type C to close. Okay, now we are going to erase. So I'm going to choose erase. Well, select is fine. And I'm going to do all of this. Wait a minute. There's more up there's. Oh, you know what? This is a block. So I need to explode it first. See, that's everything together. So I'm going to explode that. Now I'm going to erase. I'm going to select, and notice, see, there's a point right there. So I'm going to get that one too.
Radius point, yeah.
Yeah. So I've got everything selected, except I don't want to erase the last thing I just drew. So I'm still selecting. See, it keeps asking me select entities, select
Yeah.
entities. So I'm going to type R to remove. And the one I want to remove, whoops. Why does it say that? Undo. Let's erase. Okay, so those now are, wow, what is going on? That's a problem with the prompting. So I typed R to remove, and it still said entities and set. And I typed L, that's a letter L for last, and the count went down. So that's what I want. And what do I got here? Nope. All right, let's just do it this way. If I select all of this, and then I'm going to come in here and shift click that. There we go. All right. So I'll now take this and I'm going to give it a line weight. So that may be too much. Okay, now, so we've got that. So let's now throw a couple of labels for our roads. So this out here is what? West Virginia.
Route 9.
Route, just call it Route 9 or what do you want to call it. So, and again, let's see, this is on our layer location map hybrid. We're going to set that as our current layer for now. So we're going to type in, now what I'm going to do is in that location map, I'm going to keep north straight up on the page, okay, even though we're rotated on the other. So I want my text to read correctly here. All right. And I'm going to want to make this at about, I'll probably bring about this much of it in like that. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I'll sort of gauge what size text I want here. So let's do simply this. We will draw some text. So we'll draw text. Might as well make it multi-line. Actually, no. You want plain old text. So we'll start here. We'll make its height about like that. And we'll set the rotation to like that. And we'll type, is it a state route? Do we need to say that, or is that fine?
That'll be fine.
Okay, so there's Route 9.
It's a state route, but don't know what.
Okay. And then what is this big road here?
Route 115.
Okay. So then I would do the same thing. So I'll let you do that. It's on the draw menu. I think it was draw text. Standard. You're going to click where you want it to start, which is usually the lower left of it. So click. Now take the text that is already set. Okay, don't re-show it. just take it by default by hitting enter, because that way it'll match the last one. And now set your rotation angle. You can do that visually. Drag it out to the direction you want it to go. There you go. And you're going to type that one. Watch your cap locks. Back up. Keep going back. Your WVs. Okay.
And then the last road we need to have labeled is this one. I can't remember what it is actually.
Wait a minute. Well, you've got it. You've got it there. Go ahead and hit enter twice so that you quit entering text. Okay. So if we look at that,
Border road.
border road. Now, does border road, see, that makes it look like it's also this road, but is this West Virginia 115?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I would maybe want to move that instead of to show it down here to makes it look like it's here, make it look like it comes around the corner.
Okay.
So we can do that with one of those other tools that's going to say like text along a line. So we're going to want to draw a line just enough to just enough to orient this thing here.
I'm going to be in trouble in here in a minute.
You're going to be in trouble, what?
In a minute. My wife's going to call me for dinner.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Hours.
All right, let's see.
All
right, let's see. I want to do all right, so now if let's change these. Now that we got a sense of about how big that's 140. Let's make these 120. Let's maybe even make them 100. Oops. Shh. All right, 100. All right, now, if you draw text on an arc, text plot size 1. Jeez. Didn't want that one. Let's try one more time. Text on polyline. Let's do that one. All right. So There we go. Perfect. Now we'll get rid of this one. And then you come up there and put border road, and then I would put at least one of these crossroads, bunkhouse or farmhouse or any of those that are fairly common. That's just called border road, right?
Yeah.
All right, so draw standard text. We'll go here to get 100. We'll line it up like so. We'll call it border.
Just put RD.
Border road. Okay. Do we need to say West Virginia Route 9 up there or no?
Probably.
All right, so we'll call that. Whoops. Sorry.
That's good enough.
Yeah, I'm just going to put this.
But I mean, I don't think we need to label any other roads.
You don't want one of the crossroads at all, or is that not a very prominent road?
No, it's not.
All right, I think that'll do it. Okay,
Yeah.
So we'll save this. And let's go back to here. And now remember how we did all of this stuff as a viewport. We're going to do the same. We're just going to make another viewport.
Okay.
So I'm going to set as this is my current layer. I'm on layer viewport. Okay. And I will also take this scale statement out. I could vary, I could sit around to make it a particular scale, but we'll just leave it at that. I don't think it's all that critical. So now we're going to make a viewport. So we're just going to say VPORT, and it's asking for.
Okay, you said it.
I'm sorry. I'm going to let you actually. Let me give you a. Let's look at. Look on the draw menu, maybe. Let's see where the command lives. Give you a way to remember it. Draw. I do not see. Well, that's where I would put it. Let's see where they may have. All right, if it's not there. It's not on annotate. All right, let's try this. I know it'll be here. All right, it's under that. So if we have, do you see layout anywhere? Oh, viewports. Well, it's on the view menu for some strange reason. I would think you would want it on the draw menu, but go ahead. I'll leave it sitting right there and I'll let you drive now. Create model view. And it wants to know the first corner. So just go up in there, and I wouldn't go all the way. Well, yeah, go ahead. That's fine. Go up from that corner, go up to the upper right corner of that one. Click. Okay, so now that's there. And if you double click inside of it, okay, now you're in the model, but we have no idea where we are in the model. So we're going to do a zoom extents. just double click the wheel on the mouse, or you can type Z, enter, oops, Z, enter, E, enter, either one. No, one Z by itself, and then, no. Well, that would work. No, wait a minute, what's going on? If I look at this, I see that it is not locked. Okay, so inside of it now, it's acting like it's locked. On, no, no, 1-to-1.
No, not yet. Okay, thank you.
Wow. Oh, that's because it's all inside of this viewport. Is that right? No, it's just a polyline. Well, there's something wrong with that viewport.
Delete it. Just use command.
I did delete it. So there's the
Well,
viewport.
there are two viewports there.
Ah,
What line was?
all righty. That was why. Okay, because so that one let's get rid of. And now, yep, just that. Okay, perfect. Now I'll let you go back, drive it again. Go to view, viewport, create model view, go corner to corner. Okay, now double click inside it and do your double click on the wheel or zoom extents or whatever you want to do. And it looks like, okay, well, you already zoomed. See?
Okay.
So now I'm just rolling the wheel on the mouse. So you're going to want to just roll this to where it's big like this, and where we can get our words in. And that's trimmed. So I'm going to jump outside it. I'm going to select this, and I'm going to lock it down here. Now we're going to fix these colors. We're going to first of all, because remember these things were drawn out here in the model space.
Yeah.
So I'm going to select those things, change their color to we'll just keep it all consistent with this. And I don't really need this. Oops, let's move. And let's rotate that. Oops, let's not rotate it. Let's mirror it. Now we'll move that to like that. We'll move this down to here. And we need to double click inside of this and change these colors. I don't know why they reverted, but there they are. Double click outside of it. Maybe let's draw a quick hatch in there. That one's fine.
Wow, I think this is actually something I can do. I may have to get you to help me with part of it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Again, but
let's set that scale here. All right, so we'll be this. And let's set the, where's our angle? Yeah, let's see, it doesn't matter. Getting better. All right, so. Okay. I think that should be sufficient. And then when you plot it, now I realize you've got some other things to have to do here. You got to fill out any of these tables.
distances on. I still have a bunch of stuff to do.
Right. But now when you plot it, let's just take a quick check. We'll call it test. We'll be right there. We'll just call it TST. So that's what your vicinity map's going to look like. Now, you see the words for the stuff is there. That looks okay, but it looks kind of dark.
What looks dark?
The image itself. So here's how we can do, here's what we can do rather, is when you see this, that's an image see, it's an image. I'm back here in the model.
Yeah.
I've now got a 50-50 brightness and contrast with a 0 fade. If I fade this to say, oops, no, let's make that 0. Let's make the brightness. I don't, yeah, that's not what we want. Oops, sorry. That's a little too bright. Let's just make it say 65. That's probably even too bright. Let's see what that's going to look like. We'll plot that. All right. All right, now it just looks fuzzy. All right, one last shot at this. Back to here. Let's put this back to 50 and 50. And let's give it a little bit of a fade. All right, so that's certainly sufficient. I wouldn't spend a whole lot of any more time.
No, I think it looks beautiful.
Yeah, so that'll,
Best location in set in the county.
yeah, there you go. And you see, so we had the hybrid, which is on there. And if they were to zoom this in, they would certainly be able to see, oh, you know what, I probably should have also gotten rid of that little arc that I used, but it's not hurting anything. I just leave it on there. So these little things are there, but they're so small, they don't get in our way.
Right.
And I think that really does it up for us, what we need.
Okay.
All right.
I need to go before my wife kills me.
Yes, sir. So do I, because of the same reason. So back to here, save. We're good to go. I'll let you finish this up. Give me a yell if you need any further help. What is there right? Oh, that's that
Yeah.
dimension. So yeah, try those dimensions, and you may have to do it from inside of here to get the rotations correct.
Right.
If not, don't be afraid to do those. And also don't be afraid to call, and if you get stuck at something, let me know.
Okay, I will.
All right, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
That'll do it. I will post you well, you'll see the link when I get it posted.
Okay, great.
As far as the recorded video. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, sir. You bet. Take care.
Good weekend.
Okay, you too now. Okay, bye-bye.